We all deal with the Sunday scaries, right? Sunday scaries are those oh shit, stressful, nervous, can't sleep, dread feelings that hit you on Sunday evenings when you think about work or just freaking life. Unfortunately, you can feel that same pit in your stomach any day of the week. Thankfully, Sunday Scaries CBD gummies were made to defeat the crap that life throws at us. These are the perfect CBD gummies for professionals on the grind, super moms, students, party animals, and everyone in between. Look, I get really nervous before these interviews that we do. So I take 2 CBD gummies every Sunday before these interviews, and the Sunday scaries are gone. I have no problem with these interviews. So we've partnered with Sunday Scaries to bring you an incredible offer. Head over to sundayscaries.com and use promo code Deluxe15 at checkout to get 15% off of your entire order. That's sundayscaries.com and use promo code Deluxe15 at checkout to save 15% off of your entire order.
Join hosts Dave Houghton and Sarah Ray Pallet as they examine the less glamorous side of sports with their podcast, In a Pickle. Follow IAP Radio on social media by going to IAPradio.com. In a Pickle is now part of the Den Network. For more information, go to IAPradio.com.
This podcast is part of the Deluxe Edition Network. To find other great shows on the network, head over to deluxeeditionnetwork.com. That's deluxeeditionnetwork.com.
How did you find that one? Where did you dig that one up from? But that's a little disturbing now that I think about it. I suggest maybe taking a couple of hits before, might help.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Deluxe Edition. I am your host, Casey Shearer. Joining me, as always, the Last Starfighter, L. Ray Sexton.
What's going on, Casey?
Not too much, buddy. How are you?
We're having a great day.
We are having a great day. The first of 2 episodes we are recording today, so let's get right into the house cleaning, and then I'm going to hand it over to Ray. We are a part of the Deluxe Edition Network. You can find all of the other shows on the network over at deluxeeditionnetwork.com. Podcasts of the month this month are the reigning and defending podcast of the year, Bev's Video Kingdom, and then Barrel Aged Flicks, and we have the Kindness Matters podcast. Go check them out. They are all on deluxeeditionnetwork.com. If you like our show, you can go find all of the previous episodes over at deluxeedition.show. We are on Facebook at facebook.com/deluxeeditionpod. Email us over at deluxeeditionpod@gmail.com. Ray has been handling all the Instagram duties at Deluxe Edition Pod. If you'd like to support the show, go over to patreon.com/Deluxe Edition Pod. Ray?
So, on this episode, our guest today is one of the nicest people to ever walk down the street in Hollywood ever. Like, since the beginning of the world began and Hollywood was a thing, she is one of the nicest people I've ever talked to. And her name is Mary Stewart. And you know her from The Last Starfighter. You know her from Night of the Comet. You know her from Weekend at Bernie's, Samurai Cowboy, if you saw that one, and one of my all-time personal favorites, Dudes.
Yeah, this was a great episode, man. Great job on the interview. Ray handled the duties for this one. And yeah, this was fun, and she's still just as beautiful as ever.
Yep. It was. This is one of those times where when I say it was our pleasure, and I absolutely meant it.
Yeah, yeah. This was a fun episode. So, what do you say we get right into it, Ray?
Let's do it.
Hi, fellas.
How's your Sunday going so far?
Good. Good. Just taking care of some. Well, I'm sitting here on the Outer Banks of North Carolina, which is just beautiful. And it's a beautiful sunny day. And but I've been catching up on photographs and things like that. I have like 25,000 photographs and film, so that's what I've been doing.
What are you
So
trying to put them in books, like photograph
um,
books?
partly and partly I'm yeah, digitizing. I don't know. It's just yeah. But I'm thinking of I've got this is such a long and boring story, but yes is the short answer. I
So,
like to see your faces.
yes.
Yes. Hey, how you doing? How are you guys doing? Where are you guys?
I'm in Cleveland, where it's like
Okay.
10 degrees.
Oh God,
So I am
it's
very
crazy too.
jealous of your beach vacation there.
Yeah, yeah, we're really lucky. It's I guess it's like in the 40s or 50s, but I
Yeah.
have a brother who lives in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, and it's 35 below there. So
Jesus.
I know it's just insane.
And
Yeah, I'm calling in from Tallahassee, Florida, and it's even a
Ooh.
little chilly here today. It was
Oh, is that
38
right?
this morning.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's
It's
yeah.
so
We
crazy
had
here. It's so cold in the morning, and then like now it's 65.
right. Yeah, the nighttime it gets freezing cold, right?
Yeah.
all
Thank
right.
you.
So
All right.
let's just get this one out of the way. We're looking at the 40th anniversary of both Last Starfighter and Night of the Comet.
That's correct. I guess that's right. I mean, it's so funny because I hardly ever pay much attention to that stuff,
Yeah.
but that's a little disturbing now that I think about it. 40 years, are you kidding me?
And it's become such, both have become cult classics.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Yes, I feel really lucky about that. But the weird thing is, I'm only like 5 years older. So explain that to me.
Some kind of loopy time continuum wormhole thing, I suppose.
Let's go with that one.
All right. And I know you still talk to Lance Guest.
Yes.
What have you guys been doing for the 40th anniversary of Starfighter?
I guess is that this year? Or is
Yeah,
it yeah, it's this
80,
year. You're
84 to 24.
right. Yeah, okay, yeah, you're right. I was just trying to think what year this is. I'm so
I know.
confused. We haven't I don't know. I haven't heard any plans yet. But I'm gonna get on him because yes, we're still really, really good friends, and I'm still really good friends with Nick Castle. We do a lot of conventions together, which is so much fun. It's so much fun to see them again. But that's a great point. We're going to have to really live it up. We'll have to figure something out. The last time I sort of had a kind of Last Starfighter celebration was the 25th anniversary,
Which
which is also something that doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. um, and that was in they did a screening in Los Angeles, and they had actually Lance wasn't there, but everybody else was there, and all the technical guys were there, and it was like an incredible learning experience for me because I had no idea what was going on behind the scenes technically with the CGI and everything. So that was very cool. So they did a screening and then a Q&A, and I learned a lot.
they're also talking about doing a sequel to this thing called The Last Starfighters, I believe.
Well, yes, they've been talking about a sequel for a while now. Jonathan Betchwell, the original writer, he sort of got possession of the script again. I guess it was Universal that had it for a long time, and there was this after like a 30-year period, the original writer gets the property back if they want it. So he took it back, and I know, so he owns the rights to The Last Starfighter, and I know he's written a sequel. I don't know what the title is exactly. I know he went through a period, if he's not still doing it, he went through a period where he was shopping it around, ironically, even back to Universal. But I haven't there was sort of a hoopla about it for a while there. Things kind of bubbled up, but I haven't heard anything about it for a while, but that would be so very cool because they also talked about the fact that Lance and I would be in it. So
Yes.
that would be so much fun. And I like the idea that Jonathan Vetchwell would be the writer because to me that it would sort of stick with the integrity of the script, the sort of fear of producing a movie these days that's a space odyssey kind of a movie would be how crazy it would be technically CGI and whatnot. And it would, I think one of the things that is so important about The Last Starfighter is it's a sweet story, a relatable story, a story about a real kid and all that he's been going through. So you know what I mean, as opposed to just making it some huge, crazy sci-fi epic. Hopefully, it'll stick to something that people can relate to, something that's human still.
Yeah. Night of the Comet is kind of like that too, because we went through all the, nuclear stuff and the fear of, the end of time, so to speak. So,
Mhm.
do you and Kelly stay in contact? So maybe we could actually get a part 2 of that also.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. She and I are still really good friends too. I live in New York and they both live in Los Angeles. So, um, you know, when they come to New York or vice versa, we see each other. But we definitely keep in touch. And she's another one that I do conventions with. I've been in touch a lot with Tom Eberhardt, the director writer of Night of the Comet recently. He's quite a character. So, yeah, that even has a history of like Kelly was trying to get ownership of the property and she just couldn't do it. Tom has it again now, and he I think has sold it to someone somewhere to make a sequel or something like that. Hopefully, again, it will sort of stick with the integrity of the original, but we'll see. I get very nervous about sequels.
If they're written by the same people, that can be, like you said, a very good thing. But there are a lot of franchises with multiple writers, and it really does monkey with some of the main characters.
That's right. Yeah, it just sometimes it just changes the whole feel of the thing, which would be a shame. I mean, you can't stick with it exactly the way it was, but like Night of the Comet is such a unique show. Uh, crosses so many genres. It's funny in its own sort of unique 80s kind of way. It would be a shame if and in fact, when we originally shot it, the producers were hoping that we were making some horror flick, zombie horror flick. And Tom was like, "No, that's not what I'm doing at all." I mean, there's some scary bits in it, obviously, I guess,
Yeah.
but that's that's what makes it so unique. And I also think sort of one of the reasons it's had the longevity that it has because it's so different and so weird and so wonderful. So again, I'm always a little concerned about sequels, but we'll
Yeah.
see. I think that Tom has put it out there to have a sequel made. I'm not sure that he would write it though. So
Okay. Speaking of weird, we're just
yes.
gonna get all the big ones out of the way first, so we can talk about your other stuff.
Okay.
Weekend at Bernie's. How much
Yes.
fun was that to make? And Terry on set had to, play a dead guy. How many times
Listen.
did he mess up and laugh or stuff?
He's such a consummate professional. He was really pretty good about not cracking up, and it's not as though we all didn't try to get him to crack up at certain points. I mean, when when they were shooting that scene where the guys first see him at the beach house and he's sort of slouched over and they think that he's drugged or something and they realize for the first time that he's dead. They do this whole scene around him and it is Bernie. At times obviously they were using a dummy because you couldn't possibly do that to a real human being, some of the things that they did. But in this case it was him, and he had to pretend he was dead, which means you have to keep perfectly still, obviously. You can't breathe, you can't let your eyes flutter or anything like that. And so they did this whole scene with him, and then Ted Kotcheff, the director, was like, just keep it rolling, keep it rolling. And he didn't say that. He just like this. So they kept it rolling and didn't say cut until Terry finally like exploded. He just had to take a breath. So in that case, we all laughed. I don't know that he was laughing, but I mean, yeah, it was so much fun doing that movie. Yeah, I had a gas.
All right, so we got all the big ones out of the way now. Um, let's talk for a minute about Mischief. Set,
Okay.
that's set in like the 50s, but
Yeah,
it's also filmed in Nelsonville, Ohio,
that's
uh,
correct.
which I've been to. Which I recently rewatched that, and it's weird to see that town in the movie because it's like the same as it basically was then.
You know that place? You didn't live there.
I don't. I live just outside of Cleveland, but
Okay,
I've
right.
been there. I mean,
Okay, got it.
but Doug said that he had a great time filming that, and that all you guys were awesome because he had just turned 18 when that movie was filmed.
This is true. Yeah, he
And
was a child.
yes, and for those who don't know, most of this movie is his character, trying to get laid for the first time.
Trying to get laid, basically, yes.
Yes,
Yes, indeed.
he's trying.
And yeah, and Kelly Preston was not a bad person to
That's not
have
a
to go through that with.
it's not a bad choice. But
Did you interview Doug?
no, I saw it in a different interview talking about Mischief, and it just stuck in my
Okay,
head. It kind of just stuck
right.
in my head because that's pretty cool. You're 18 and you're on a movie set, and so many good actors in that movie, including yourself.
Oh, well, thank you so much. That's very sweet. Yeah, I mean, well, he probably of all of us had the most experience in terms of movie making. He'd been an actor for years and years. The big one was, I guess, on Golden Pond with Jane Fonda. Um, so yeah, I mean, but turning 18 and doing that sort of a movie, it has its challenges too, I would think, in certain ways.
Yeah, but that's a amazing movie. I like that one a lot.
Yeah.
I like that seeing all the cars and stuff that you guys were driving around in.
That I think that is one of those underrated movies, and it's actually amazing how many people come up to me and say that they saw it and how much they loved it. It just, I don't know why. I think when it was released at a really strange time. We shot it for 20th Century Fox, and they were changing hands, leadership. I mean, the original movie wasn't really necessarily about Doug's character trying to get laid. It was more of coming of age kind of a movie. So that was definitely in there, but the stuff with Chris Nash and me was actually kind of more prominent. So it was more of a tear jerking, heart tugging kind of a thing. But when 20th Century Fox changed hands, they decided to kind of go more the Porky's route. Remember that movie Porky's?
Yep,
So
that's Bob Clark.
they kind of turned it into more of a sex romp. And that I don't think was it wasn't the original intention. So that was and it wasn't called Mischief, it was called Heart and Soul. And it was sort of autobiographical of the writer, so who grew up in the 50s. But what I really love about that movie is not only did we have such a great time, just a bunch of young actors getting into trouble, but also I really felt like it was very authentic in terms of the time period.
Okay. Another one that's quirky that I actually enjoy is Samurai Cowboy.
Oh my gosh!
Which is actually filmed where you're from, Alberta.
It is. It was filmed in southern Alberta in a park called Waterton Park, which actually extends into the States. But yeah, and we shot that in the winter. It was freezing cold. How did you find that one? Where did you dig that one up from?
I know things.
I guess so. You're making me nervous
Yeah,
now.
I was actually looking for that one. I couldn't find. I wanted to see that one.
I
I
like
don't
this
think I
one.
can find it.
It's about a businessman from Japan whose friend has a heart attack. So he decides he always wanted to be a cowboy. So he's finally just going to go to Montana, become a cowboy, and he makes friends with Catherine. And Robert Conrad is also in this from the Wild Wild West. I love that show. So yeah, this was a fun one. It's fun because it's different. It's
Mhm.
not like a shoot 'em up or anything like that. It's just about somebody trying to live out their dream.
Right, right. Yeah. He's this Japanese businessman who, and I guess in Japan, there's a lot of pressure to work long hours and really, really hard and drink really hard afterwards. There's lots of karaoke, like in the opening sequences, right? And sake drinking and things like that. And yeah, his best, and they're both young, and his best friend has this heart attack. And that's what
Yeah.
you were saying. He has this realization that he doesn't want to live like this. He has a fantasy of being a cowboy. So that was sort of, fish out of water story. And it was, for me, it was so much fun because I love horseback riding. I love I mean, growing up as a kid, I just loved cowboy movies. That was sort of my fantasy go-to thing. And so playing that out in a movie, it was so much fun. And we actually really did we herded these cattle, through the plains of Alberta. We really did that. It was so much fun. I was like living a dream.
Did any of your friends or family from back home get to come to that set?
Yes, my brother, John, he knew the director somehow. I forget how. And so he came and visited the set. Um, but yeah, he was the only one living. He was living in Calgary at that time. My parents were on the west coast of Canada, and my other brother was in Ontario, so it wasn't exactly convenient for them to just pop down there. But no, that was really fun. I mean, like I said, I'm just a huge horse person. I love that stuff.
When did you learn how to ride a horse? How old were you?
I was probably, when I first climbed on a horse, I was probably about, um, I don't know, 8 or 10.
Wow.
Yeah. And then when I was a kid, I went to this summer camp that it was called Pioneer Ranch Camp. So it was 2 weeks learning how to take care of horses, and we would do these camp outs into the mountains and pitch lean-tos. It was really horrible actually when I think about it. It was, oh man, it was summer, but again, Alberta in the mountains, at night it would get so cold. I remember one time, and we just literally would put up these lean-tos, which is nothing. And one, maybe every night, but I would just wear all the clothes that I possibly could find because I was so cold. Anyway, yeah, so I just always, I never owned a horse. I never took like formal horseback riding lessons, but my parents knew how much I loved horses. So they kind of created scenarios where I could get on a horse and ride. Western, always just Western.
That's cool.
Yeah, very fun.
1981, Nighthawks.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Sylvester Stallone, Billy D. Williams, Rutger Hauer, and Leslie Wagner all on that set. How much interaction
Right.
did you get to have with those four?
Well, so Sylvester Stallone, so I was living in London at the time. So I went from Edmonton to London, England. Before I got into the acting thing, I was a dancer. And when I was 18, I moved to London to train as a dancer. And that's where I got into my first movie. And then The Apple, I don't know if you're going to go there,
Oh
but
yeah.
we're sort of slowly going backwards here, I see. But I was cast in The Apple in London first. And then when I came back we shot it in Germany. When I came back to London, By then, I had an agent, and I auditioned for this small role in Nighthawks. And it was shot in London. And by the time I was on the set, Sylvester Stallone, I forget who the original director was, but he was not happy with this guy. And so he took over the directing. So I got to meet him, which was, well, he also auditioned me. So me and a bunch of other girls were like, that was pretty cool. And Rutger Hauer was the other one that I worked with. I didn't see Lindsay or Billy D. Williams or anything like that, but I worked directly with Rutger Hauer, and he scared the crap out of me. He was so intense as an actor, and he played this terrorist, right, in this movie, and he just so I play this I guess perfume sales girl in this department store in London, and he kind of comes and seductively says something to me about perfume, and I'm like, no, I wasn't acting. He scared me. That's good anyway. As he's tucking a bomb under my counter. So I guess I forget. I haven't seen Nighthawks in so long, but I think I was part of establishing what a horrible human being Rutger Hauer's character was by shoving a bomb. This sweet, innocent little, perfume sales girl gets blown up by Rutger Hauer. One of my prouder moments. But he was. I was so new to the business at that point, and so Sylvester Stallone and Rutger Hauer were like the biggest movie stars I'd ever seen, and I had not dealt with somebody who stayed in character the way he did before. So I was just like, it was, but it works, of course. I mean, he was an incredible actor, but it was intimidating.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So let's go back to 89 for a second. And you did a movie called Riding the Edge.
Yes, I did.
This is an action movie.
Yeah, and it was a lot of fun as well, actually, because it was, I played a lot of kind of girls next door, and which is great. I mean, you want to get employed and stuff like that. But the first movie that I did, which I felt like I could really relate to, was sort of Night of the Comet, where I got to be kind of rough and tumble and do my own stunts and, wield a gun and all that junk. I really feel like that's more who I am. So I really do gravitate to these movies that are sort of a woman who kind of has control. She's like a strong, sassy, and I think also. Well, anyway, so in Riding the Edge, that's what drew me to that particular thing, and plus, back in the day, you really got to travel a lot for movies. This was shot in Israel, which was incredible. It was an incredible way to get to see Israel. And it's funny that you mentioned that, because I told you I'm going through photos and things like that. I came across some photos from Riding the Edge, and Raphael Sabarge and I are still in touch. We sort of get in these roundabout ways, reconnect, mostly I guess through social media, which I love. I just love that part about social media. But I found these Polaroids of he and I. They used to take, like, for wardrobe and things like that, they would take Polaroids of you because they could have the instant picture. Now, of course, you can just do that on your phone, but I had two Polaroids. One was, it was titled Before the Shoot, and then put a date. And then the second one was After the Shoot, and I put the date. And it's funny because we're just like, the before the shoot, like that. And then the one of after the shoot, you're a little like, and he's kind of kissing me on the forehead and everything, but he was like, I got super sick while I was there, and he was super worried about getting super sick. So it was a lot of that going on, but we had a great time. It was so much fun.
What's a destination that you haven't filmed in yet that you'd like to go to for free?
So many. I in my life, I've been fortunate enough to do a lot of traveling. So that's cool. One place I've never been to is Japan. That might be very, very cool to go to. When I was a kid, my dad was a marine biologist, and we went to Australia, and he did some work on the Great Barrier Reef. We were there for about 8 months. I loved Australia so much. So if there was an excuse for me to go back there to film or something, yes, I would do that. But yeah, I mean, I think Japan would be very cool because I've never been there.
I've
Japan.
always wanted to go to Japan too.
Yeah. It seems like such a fascinating place. I mean, the history, just everything about it just seems sort of fascinating to me.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind going there because I would be tall. I'm only 5'8", so in Japan, I'd be as big as Casey is here.
You'd be so intimidating and stuff.
Just drink some sake and start flexing on people. That'd be great.
I know, right?
Yeah. One of my all-time favorite movies is Dudes, and I absolutely love this movie. I talk about it all the time. I tell everybody that's the movie I would start with for everybody in it. Roebuck, you, Lee Ving, the whole cast, Flea, John Cryer. If somebody asked me what's a movie I would recommend for any of you guys, I always say Dudes because I love that. Even Casey, I did that to him.
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
Isn't it fantastic? And Penelope Spheris, who directed it, she did The Decline of Western Civilization. I think that sort of put her on the map and she used Lee Ving, and she reuses a lot of people. She was such a character, such a nice person. They did a retrospective of her movies at UCLA. She graduated from UCLA, and John and Daniel and a bunch of other people were there. We did a Q&A afterwards. But I love that movie too because it's just so weird. It's just such a weird concept. And I just think we need more of those. You know what I mean? I mean, it's great. And again, a character that I got to play where she gets to ride horses and shoot guns, and I had to learn how to do that whole shooting thing, and I twirled it and put it in my holster, learned how to do that. And then I get to ride full out across a field where I at the end of that shot, it was a very, very long shot, and back then they shot with film, so very expensive to shoot. Long shot, wanted to do it in one take, so I just ride full out towards the camera, and I'm supposed to just exit right past the camera left or whatever. And somebody had come on the set and parked, we were in the middle of nowhere, parked their Jeep right behind the camera where I was supposed to exit. And I saw it as I was coming up on it, but I thought, oh, I'll just, as soon as I get past the camera, I'll just pull the horse off to the left and we'll be fine. Well, the horse wouldn't respond to me pulling off. He just stopped. And I didn't. I just kept going. And I went right into that Jeep, and I crushed my arm.
Ugh.
I had to go to the hospital. I broke my ulna. I didn't realize that it didn't hurt that much until they were like, yeah, you better, because it looked pretty violent, I guess. Somebody flying through the air. They should have caught that on film. But when I went to my trailer to change, it was my right arm. I put my right arm on the counter, and just the pressure, it exploded. And it was a clean break through the bone. So I fortunately had only like 2 more days of filming to do, and they put like a removable cast on my arm and gave me tons of drugs. And so that was a good couple of days.
Where did you guys film that one at?
It was either New Mexico or Arizona.
Because there's a lot of beautiful scenery in that. I mean, obviously, once you once you get out of the city part where they're up on the fire escapes and stuff, you get out into the
Yeah.
mountains.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I could look it up if you want, but it was New Mexico or Arizona. I forget which now, but
That,
it was beautiful.
yeah, that's close
And
enough.
yeah, and again, that just so kind of catered to my fantasy of being a cowboy, or cowgirl, I guess, cow person.
Yeah, that movie when I went into that and I knew nothing about it. Ray told me about it, and yeah, I was like, okay, this is gonna be like a regular road trip movie, and of guys
Yeah,
going across the whatever. And then I was like, wow, this took a turn.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
it was also it was a great movie, and we actually are scheduled to talk with Daniel in a few weeks. So yeah,
Oh, please send him my love again. I've been in touch with him off and on. He's out making his own movies now.
yeah.
But he is one of the sweetest people you'll ever want to meet. I adore him. So is John. I mean, again, we've sort of periodically been in touch, and I'm so grateful that we have been in touch. Because they're really super nice people.
Yeah. Yeah, another interview we have coming up from that movie that I was interested as hell in, the person is Pete Wilcox. He played, the Daredelvis in that movie.
Yeah. He was at the screening at UCLA. Yeah, well, that would be
Nice.
kind of fun.
Yeah, he was like
Very cool.
he texted me and he's like, "I hope I'm gonna be interesting enough." I was like, "You've been playing another person for 65 years." I was like, "I think it'll be pretty interesting."
Oh my gosh, that's gonna be so much fun. That'll be fun for sure. Yeah. The other weird movie that I did around the same time was called World Gone Wild. Did you see that one?
I have not
No.
seen that one,
Oh, I stumped you. Yes.
but I am going to write it down so that I'm going to write that down.
World Gone Wild,
Well,
Adam Ant, Michael Pare, uh, Bruce.
oh, wait a minute. You played, I know this one. You played Angie.
Yes, I did.
I have seen
See?
this. As soon as you said Adam Ant, I remembered.
That's right. That is another really weird, crazy movie, but I love it. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, that's a good movie. It's fun.
Yeah. So you have seen it.
Kind of like scenes from the gold mine.
Y-
Also
mhm.
has Lee Ving in it. I'm a big Lee Ving fan, so
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
you get
That
to
was
play a little.
fun.
That's another kind of a. It's more of an action movie, I guess.
Which one?
Scenes from the gold mine.
Oh,
I don't
so
remember that one as well
Wor-
as some of these other ones.
World Gone Wild, Bruce Dern. For some reason
Oh,
his name
great.
just slipped out of my head because and I had to like remember because he was so funny just working with him. Such a good actor. Anyway, I've been so lucky to work with some really very interesting people. Scenes from the Gold Mine was a movie about it's about rock and roll and this
Hmm.
girl who joins a band and
Yeah, I got mixed
they
up. I got that mixed
yeah
up when you were just talking about.
hmm
Yeah, I've seen this.
again
I just watched this Scenes from the Gold Mine. This is a good one. Joe Pantoliano, right? Alex Rocco,
yeah.
Melissa Etheridge is in there somewhere. I
Melissa
didn't
Etheridge
recognize
wrote
her at all.
well, she wrote some music. I got to sing one of her songs, got to meet her as well. She and I were friends for a long time. We sort of lost touch when I moved to New York, but brilliant, of course. Yeah, an incredible cast. Mark Rocco, Alex Rocco's son, was the director. But one of the things I love the most about this business is I get to live vicariously through these characters. And being a rock and roll person for a little while was it's like a dream come true. I love singing, just belting out songs. I'm not really very good at it, but that has never stopped me.
So
Um,
that was you
it
singing
was
in
me
there?
singing. It was me
Ho
singing.
how about
Um,
playing the keyboard? Was that you playing the keyboards?
That was me playing the keyboard. I did a
Nice.
little yeah, it wasn't that complicated, but, I did learn piano. I took piano lessons for about 5 years as a kid, so I had some familiarity with it, And again, it's not super complicated. It's not Beethoven or anything like that.
Sure.
But no, oh my God, so much fun. Cracks me up looking at it though, because it was sort of the ultimate 80s time period rock and roll. So the hair couldn't be big enough. I mean, it's almost ridiculous. I sort of look like a bunch of clowns, really. Even the guys look crazy. But uh, such a gas. So much fun.
So during that movie, there was a lot of drug use in that movie behind the scenes. Like your partner was getting into drugs and stuff. Did you notice any of that like going on in Hollywood at all? Like were there people like getting out of control and stuff with that stuff?
Oh, at that time, I think it was running rampant in Hollywood. Yeah, lots and lots of drugs. I, however, was so innocent. Yeah, I wasn't a huge drug person, and I wasn't a huge party person. So, but no, it was pretty bad at that time for sure.
Yeah. And I looked up that Alex Rocco after watching that movie because I knew he looked familiar. He was from The Godfather. Man, that
Yes.
guy's story. He was like an actual mobster, like arrested for murder and like that. He played your father in that movie, right?
Yeah. He
Yeah.
played my father. One of the nicest people you'll ever want to meet as well. But
Yeah.
yeah, I guess he's got quite a sordid history, but
Yeah, he had
he
he
was
had quite a
pissed.
history. He was arrested for murder, all kinds of stuff, and then just up and moved to
I
Hollywood
don't,
and became an actor.
I don't know if I knew that about him. It might have made me a little bit nervous, but no, he was a really, really good guy.
Awesome. Very cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you got any other questions there, Casey?
Not about the scenes from the gold mine now.
I mean, just in general, we're just jumping around, having some
Yeah,
fun on
let's talk
Sunday.
about the Apple a little bit. We have
Woo!
a fan question here actually about the Apple from we run a podcast network called the Deluxe Edition Network, and Tim from the Friends Talking Nerdy podcast said I have to ask you about working with former Canon Films kingpin Menahem Golan on his film The Apple. He seems like one of the last real pirates of the film industry.
Yeah. That they have there's been I just actually talked was interviewed for another documentary about Golan Globus. So Menachem is and Yoram were cousins that started this company. It first was Yoram Globus, and then they bought Canon Films. And The Apple actually was one of the very, very first movies that they did, and they were really hoping that it would kind of establish them in Hollywood. I'm not sure that it worked, but he was a really interesting character for sure. He was a huge filmmaker in Israel, very, very well known, huge success there. So then he wanted to, move to Hollywood and become successful there. He had a few hit and misses, and then became like the king of sequels. He would do all these sequels. The entire budget would go into Sylvester Stallone or whoever was the Charles Bronson, whoever was the lead. They would pay them a ton of money, and then they would make these sequels for next to nothing. And then he became known for selling movies at film festivals like Cannes or someplace before they were even made, just selling people on a concept. And they got quite Yoram and Menachem got quite a reputation in Hollywood for their way of just the whole making movies. They made a ton of money, but they just would just crank them out, crank them out, crank them out. When we did The Apple, like I said, they were hoping that it was going to sort of break them into the movie industry in America, because at the time it was like, I think we shot in 79 actually. And there were a lot of sort of rock musicals at that time, like I don't know, a bunch of kind of
Tommy, the Who, right? Tommy was coming out around
Tommy,
that
that
time.
kind of thing, rock musicals, disco musicals, all sorts of stuff. And they were trying to tap into that, and they thought they had clinched it with sort of a Adam and Eve kind of story. So they sort of brought in kind of this weird religion thing, and then this kind of tongue-in-cheek thing, and then this amazing musical score. They had the London Symphony Orchestra on the track. I think that's who it was. Some incredible musicians and singers. But my theory is there was just like a little chip missing in terms of Israeli sensibility in movie making and Hollywood. So it didn't do what they hoped it would do, but it got them in. I mean, it didn't get them in. They just kept at it and started just cranking out movies.
Sure. That was you singing in that one as well?
Well, it was not. So that's when I was living in London, and I was going to this performing arts school, primarily dance, but I was also doing singing and acting and a bunch of stuff. So I had quite a good foundation going into my first feature film. And they actually set me up with a singing coach. I had been taking singing lessons. They set me up with a singing coach, but the people that I was working opposite were professional singers generally. And
George
they just
Gilmore was your partner, right? From the Boll Weevils. That was his only movie, right?
It was his only movie, yeah. I think he gave up acting after that. An actor named Alan Love, who was also a big singer. Grace Kennedy, who was an incredible performer and singer. She had a variety show in England for a while after that. They just felt like my voice wasn't strong enough, and I frankly had to agree with them. They brought in somebody named Mary Hyland. She was kind of a session singer in LA, and she was fantastic.
Yeah.
And I felt like also that our voices weren't too far apart. I mean, I think it worked.
Sure. Yeah, it was I mean, it's definitely a weird movie, but it's a lot of fun for sure.
Yeah. I suggest maybe taking a couple of hits before, might help.
Oh yeah, you don't have to worry about that. I'm constantly stoned.
Oh, good.
Let's see.
It's a very strange. It's put together really weirdly. The end is just nuts. It's but what the heck? I loved every second of it. I loved every second of being on the set. I mean, Menachem was quite a character. This was his like little treasure piece. And boy, if you didn't do what he wanted, he could lose his temper. One time, I'll just tell you this quick little story. This was my very first movie. I'd never done anything like this before. And you get call sheets every day, which sort of lists where you're supposed to be, when, and what scenes you're going to be shooting and all that stuff. And we were shooting in Berlin, Germany, and I didn't see my name on the call sheet. So I went out and this was before the wall was down. So it was West Germany West Berlin, and West Berlin was like a crazy place. It was lots of stuff going on. So I went out the night before this day and just stayed out all night partying and having fun. And I got back to the hotel at like 7:30 in the morning, and some AD was running around freaking out that that I wasn't there for the pickup to take me to the studio. And I'm like, I'm not working today. Yes, you are. Oh, that was a bad day. So I get there and I'm late. And Menachem came down to the makeup room, and he's like, "You will never work in this business again." Like he had this voice with this accent, and it was just like, and it was interesting because it kind of scared me, but I wasn't that like upset about never working in the business again, because I never had before, and I really hadn't made all these life plans to be in the business. So it was like, oh, that's a drag, I guess, but he did kind of intimidate me, I have to say. He was so mad at me. Anyway,
You
he was a
did
pussycat.
you did 150 episodes of Days of Our Lives.
Mm-hmm.
How was that schedule? Like, they do that every day. Just did you ever get yelled at on the set of that show for not knowing what you're supposed to do?
Oh God, that was hard work, man. I when I got on that show, yeah. So if you think about a movie that's an hour and a half, 2 hours long, it takes a couple of months to film, maybe six, four, let's say, depending on the budget, 4 to 8 weeks to film for an hour and a half, 2 hours. And on a soap opera that's an hour long, you're doing one every single day. So if you have a strong storyline, you might have to memorize like 50 pages of dialogue. And that was, I don't know how people do it. I never got into the rhythm of it. I found it very, very challenging all the time. I mean, it was a great experience. I introduced this character called Kayla Brady, who went on to become this iconic character on Days of Our Lives after I left. Unceremoniously, they had me moving into a new apartment, and I sort of was talking to my roommate who I was moving into the apartment with. And I'm just going to go up and check the bathroom. Never came out. But I really, I found that experience very, very challenging. But it was a great learning experience, and everything else felt like cake after that.
We've talked to a few people who've worked. Patricia Darbo, who worked on I can't remember the show she was on, but like, yeah, she said the exact same thing. Like, it's hard work, a lot different than filming a movie.
So different. And also they really hate to take like more than one take. So if you screw up, I mean, you're screwed.
Yeah,
And I screwed up fairly often. Yeah, I didn't last that long on that show. I lasted like 2 years. Um, but the nice thing about that for me was I transitioned immediately to The Last Starfighter. In fact, there was a point where the two shows overlapped. I was shooting The Last Starfighter at night and Days of Our Lives during the day. So I had a very smooth transition. So I was really, really lucky.
nice.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
you are one of the nicest people I've ever talked to. I think that's why
Oh,
so many people are still in your lives, in your life after
oh,
all these movies and everything. We really do appreciate you taking the time to talk to us today. Love
oh, thank
your movies.
you. Thank you guys.
Yeah, I don't know what's better, that you're so nice or that your movies are so good.
I'll take them both.
All right.
How's that?
And just as
That's
beautiful
very,
as
very
ever.
kind of you.
Yep.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm hoping, it's been such a weird few years with the pandemic and then the strikes. And I'm just hoping 2024, it's already, you can really feel the work and things picking up and auditions and things like that. But hopefully it'll pick up again and I'll actually work again. And I'm also, very, very interested in doing some more directing. I've done a little bit of directing. I love, love directing. So I've been developing a project for that, and yeah, we'll see. It'll be an interesting year.
Yep. Let everybody know where they can find you, social media.
Sure.
And whatnot.
Oh yeah, I'm on Instagram under Catherine Mary Stewart, Facebook Catherine Mary Stewart. I have a website, CatherineMaryStewart.com. I'm on, what is it, X, Twitter? I guess
Yeah.
my handle or whatever you call it is CMS, which is Catherine Mary Stewart, CMSALL. Or if you just hashtag Catherine Mary Stewart, it should come up. What else? I'm on LinkedIn. And I try to stay on there or I'm on there as much as I can. I'm not great at it, but just to let people know what's going on, because I'm telling you, I've got this great diehard gang of fans that follow me. So I really feel like, and after all, the only reason I'm here is because of the audience. So I really try to do my best and keep everybody up to date. And I'll put this on my website. Of course, I'll share it on social media and things like that. So I
Thank you
hope I
so
hear
much.
from people. I would love to hear from everybody.
Awesome. And you're also doing a little thing on eBay too. You want
Oh,
to talk about that
yes.
at all, right?
Well,
I had a
yes.
suggestion for that. I had a suggestion for you for eBay because
Okay. Oh,
I
good.
couldn't
I could
find
use that.
anything on your website or on your eBay, but you should do like signed photos, or I know you do a lot of the conventions and stuff, but maybe think about that.
Right. So the reason I started eBay is because I have like 30 years worth of things in storage units and things that I just will never use again. And some of it's really great. I mean, I've used it in the past, and maybe that will attract people. But I haven't started doing things like photos or paraphernalia or things like that yet on eBay. But you can get a signed autograph from the website. You just have to go over to the fans drop down section,
Okay,
and it'll lead you to how you order photos. So you can
great.
definitely do that. But I'm actually looking forward to getting through all the. I don't know if you've checked out my eBay things. People tease me all the time. Some of the stuff is just so random, but I'm looking forward. I think I'll probably do a lot more paraphernalia type stuff on eBay eventually once I get through all this other junk that I've been.
Awesome.
It
Very
seems
cool.
like it's been like 6 months just chipping away at these things that collect up after
Yeah, I'm
30 or
in the
40
same boat.
years.
I have right over here on this wall. I have a bunch of stuff that is also listed on eBay as well. So
Oh, is that right? Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. It's hard to keep up with all that stuff. But yeah, please come visit eBay, and that's under Very Catherine Mary. If you go to eBay, look, I think if you type that in, I'm pretty new on eBay actually. So
we'll post all the
um,
links to everything too in the
okay, that
description.
would be
So
fantastic. Yeah.
yeah,
And there's some cool stuff. And actually I have a bunch more things that I'm going to be putting on eBay. I live in New York. I'm not there right now, but when I get back, I'll be putting a whole bunch more stuff on there. So
cool.
Yep.
Thank you so much, Mary Catherine.
thank you.
Sorry.
And happy New Year, you guys. And I'm
Yeah,
so
happy New
pleased to
Year.
have been able to talk to you.
No, it is our
Thank you so
pleasure.
much.
Okay.
All right. Bye bye.
Take care. Bye.